Ollantaytambo is a gigantic complex located in the sacred valley of the Incas northwest of the city of Cusco and possesses one of the most precise megalithic polygonal masonry in the world. One of the most famous structures in Ollantaytambo is the Temple of the Sun. There, we can find remarkable stonework, which includes large slabs of pink granite, intricately carved and precisely aligned. The stone blocks weigh between 50 and 70 tons, and they are fitted together with such precision that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. This precision, along with the scale and the transportation of these stone blocks, indicates a highly advanced level of technological and engineering sophistication that was not yet available to the Incas. One of the stones has a remarkably precise pattern that resembles a step pyramid. This is actually a Chacana cross, an ancient Andean symbol that can be seen on various megalithic sites all across South America. The oldest Chacana representation was found in Bolivia at the archaeological site of Tiwanaku. And if you look closer at the surface of the other blocks at the Temple of the Sun, you can notice that although they are exceptionally smooth, there are these scoop marks on their surface. This led many to believe that the creators of these structures had some kind of lost technology that allowed them to soften the hard pink granite and manipulate it with ease. We can see the same thing in various other places in the world, including Stonehenge and the Aswan Quarry in Egypt. In a drawing of the 6 monoliths made in 1843 by the German painter Johann Moritz Rugendus, we can see that there used to be more stones on the top of the structures, which are now missing. And who knows what the complete structure looked like tens of thousands of years ago when it was initially created. Between the 6 massive monoliths, there are smaller stones intricately fitted together. These stones vary in size and shape, but are precisely cut to interlock tightly with the monoliths, creating a seamless wall that is indestructible even by the numerous earthquakes that are common in this area. We can also see various knobs on the stones, a feature which is also observed all across the world from China and Japan to Egypt, almost as if all of these sites were built by the same builders. And just as we observe the precise fittings with no gaps, if we go behind the structure, we can see inferior stonework, which looks almost primitive compared to the main wall. Many researchers believe that the inferior stonework is the actual work of the Inca civilization, which found this prehistoric site and built upon it. If we observe the entire structure from above, we can clearly see that in the distant past, this was some sort of gigantic building that served an important purpose. The Inca people tried to repair as much as they could from the old construction, but their methods were simply not as advanced. This is why we can see many gigantic stone blocks scattered around the site, as if the complex was demolished by some cataclysmic event that destroyed and dispersed most of the structures. Some of the blocks are even half buried. The Inca never managed to move these blocks, which had been left there for thousands of years. Some of these multi-ton granite blocks have gigantic knobs, and between them, we can see more Inca repair work. Many of the blocks are perfectly rectangular, with straight 90-degree edges and smooth surfaces. Another key site of the complex is the Gateway of the Gods. This section also predates the Inca by thousands of years. Once again, we see massive, perfectly smooth granite blocks with knobs on them. The stones used are expertly cut and fit together. On the top side of the gateway, we can see the inferior Inca repairs made of small, rough stones and clay mortar, which have nothing in common with the precision of the old megaliths. The gateway continues into a wall on one side, which is truly astonishing and fits together like a puzzle. There are numerous perfectly parallel cavities on the wall, all with the exact same size and dimension. At some parts of the polygonal wall where there are blocks missing, we once again see crude Inca repairs. The precision with which these blocks are cut and assembled suggests the use of sophisticated technology and methods that were not available to the Inca even at its peak. Does this mean that the ancients had advanced knowledge, potentially even some sort of machinery? Many researchers speculate that the prehistoric megalithic builders possessed the capability to heat and melt stone, allowing them to mold it into the precise shapes needed, resulting in the perfect fitting of the blocks. Just take a look at this fitting and the precision it showcases. In the distant past, there was most likely a second wall on the other side, as evidenced by the foundational pieces and the three-dimensional interlocking of the stones. We can see dozens of scattered stone blocks on the ground, with many more buried. On some of the blocks, there are unusual keystone cuts visible, likely designed to secure the blocks together using a type of clasp. This is another ancient megalithic feature that can be seen all across the world. If you look closer at the cut, you can see clear core drill hole marks. What kind of drilling technology could leave such marks on pink granite? On another stone, we see an incredibly precise saw cut going through it. It appears that something sliced the stone, making a perfectly flat surface and then stopping. The thickness seems very narrow. To cut granite in such a precise way, you would need a material harder than granite such as diamond. And even then, such narrow cut seems impossible. The Inca had only bronze chisels and stone hammers, so who managed to create this precise laser-like cut on this stone? Observing from above, we can see this half-buried giant granite which has numerous machine marks on it. Although the stone is highly eroded, the clean marks left on it can be seen with ease. It's unknown what kind of tool or machine left these traces on the granite or what their purpose is. On the top of the rock, there are additional carvings that look perfectly rectangular and square, with precise 90-degree angles. Considering such a large part of this rock is underground, just imagine how many more clues could be buried beneath the earth. At the entrance of Ollantaytambo, numerous stone blocks are displayed. All of them are clearly artificially modified, showcasing precise cuts and shapings, while others look like they were somehow melted and deformed. Look at the precise angles of this giant granite block. Who knows where was its original location and to what kind of construction it once fitted? And look at this rectangular block, which has numerous scoop marks on it, almost like it was softened somehow and reshaped. What kind of technology can modify stone like that? Take a look at this incredible trapezoidal fountain and the precise carvings it showcases. The carvings are on 3 levels, and each level has perfect 90-degree angles and smooth surfaces. These cuts look very similar to those we've seen in sites like Pumapunku in Bolivia. On the bottom 2 sides of the fountain, there are the remains of 2 knobs which are now broken. Many noted that the surface of the granite used for the creation of the fountains exhibits piezoelectric properties, and by swiftly running your finger along the edge, you can influence the flow of the water. There are many demonstrations from visitors who manage to even completely stop the flow of the water using just this method. One of the best examples of advanced ancient technology can be seen on the rock walls of Ollantaytambo. If we examine the existing andesite rock on the site, we can see that it was cut and altered in numerous places. Here we see that large parts of the rock have been extracted, leaving a remarkably smooth surface and, strangely, large knobs like those found on the granite stones. The material was removed with such precision that we hardly find scratches. Considering the rock is made of andesite, an extremely strong and hard material, the work we see is incredible. Additional knobs can be seen in higher sections of the rock, also accompanied by smooth and precise cuts. Next to these knobs are also cavities carved into the wall. And take a look at these strange marks left on the stone. What kind of technology could leave such marks? Similar channel marks can be found on other sections of the site as well. Here in the distance, we can see 3 niches, which some believe were traces of some sort of giant escalator. At the western edge of Ollantaytambo, we find that the ancient builders fit stones into the bedrock itself with astonishing accuracy and created recesses of unknown function. In this particular location, we can see that the ancients left this strange yet extremely precise crisscross pattern. These patterns, according to many, seem as if they were left behind by some sort of machinery after the slabs were removed. The grid is perfectly symmetrical and the channels are uniform, measuring mere millimeters. And here we see another interesting pattern. What kind of technology could have left behind such patterns thousands of years ago? Some have even ventured out and said that these fascinating crisscross patterns are, in fact, marks that could have been created by some sort of laser-like apparatus or saw machine, pointing to the possibility that the prehistoric builders had in their possession long-lost technology that allowed them to quarry with ease massive andesite and granite blocks. If we examine the so-called Wall of the Living Rock, we can see huge rectangular sections of the stone removed from the mountain with such accuracy that we can't find any scratch on the surface. What's even stranger is that the corners are not sharp as you would expect if you chip the rock, but are actually smooth, which makes it even harder to explain how this was done. The smoothness of the andesite makes many to believe that some sort of vitrification process was used. According to the official narrative, the mountains were used as quarries, but several intriguing questions arise from this. Firstly, the cut marks are perfectly square, which is surprising. One might expect the stone to be knocked out of the rock face first and then squared as modern stone cutters would do, which is not the case here. And on many parts of the rock, we see knobs, which suggests this was something more than a quarry. Secondly, the surfaces of the cuts are glassy smooth, not rough as one would anticipate from sawn or chiseled surfaces. Another question concerns the height at which these stones were cut. Why were the rocks cut from places that are sometimes 130 feet above the valley floor? How were they brought down? Although there are some stairways cut into the rock face that allow people to walk up to the quarry site, there are no signs of ramps or skid tracks that could have been used to transport the megaliths. If the stones had simply been dropped to the valley floor, they would have shattered. Lastly, how were these stones transported from one side of the valley to the other? The quarry site is miles away from locations like the Sun Temple. There is no evidence of any roads in the valley that could have been used to transport such massive loads. Additionally, on many parts of the rock, we see smooth channels which probably had running water in ancient times. With everything we have shown you so far, do you really believe all of these traces of advanced technology, the precise megastructures, and everything else on the site are the work of a primitive civilization that used stone hammers and bronze chisels? Or is it possible that Ollantaytambo, along with other ancient sites around the world, holds evidence of a far more advanced civilization that existed long before the Incas? The precise megalithic structures, advanced stone-cutting techniques, and the mysterious transportation of massive blocks suggest knowledge and technology far beyond what the Inca civilization is known to have possessed. The presence of smooth, glassy surfaces and perfect cuts in hard stone materials like granite, which are incredibly difficult to work with even using modern tools, raises significant questions about the methods used by the ancient builders. Moreover, the geographic challenges of transporting these enormous stones from quarries high in the mountains, across rivers, and up to the construction sites without visible signs of roads or ramps further complicate our understanding. How could a civilization lacking advanced machinery achieve such feats? The various repairs and modifications made by the Incas, which appear primitive in comparison to the original constructions, indicate that they inherited and repurposed these sites rather than creating them from scratch. Despite that, the official historical narrative of Ollantaytambo attributes its construction primarily to the Inca civilization, specifically during the reign of Emperor Pachacuti in the 15th century AD. The site is thought to have served as a fortress, protecting the sacred valley from invaders, and as an agricultural hub, utilizing its terraced fields to produce food for the Inca Empire. When we call the works of the Inca civilization primitive, what we mean is that they are primitive compared to the advanced megalithic builders of old. We must remember that, for their time, the Inca were incredibly sophisticated. The Inca civilization, which thrived from the early 15th century until the Spanish conquest in the 16th century, demonstrated remarkable achievements in architecture, agriculture, and engineering. One of the most impressive aspects of Inca ingenuity is the agricultural terraces they built on Ollantaytambo. These terraces, known as andén, were constructed by creating flat platforms into the steep Andean mountainsides, creating arable land where none previously existed. The terraces were built with retaining walls made of carefully fitted small, rough stones and clay mortar, which provided stability and prevented landslides. Each terrace had a complex irrigation system that included channels and aqueducts to direct water from mountain streams to the crops. The Inca ingeniously designed these systems to ensure that water flowed evenly across all the terraces, preventing waterlogging and drought conditions. This careful water management was essential in the high-altitude environment where the climate could be harsh and unpredictable. The terraces look so massive that some people even call them staircases for giants, which, of course, is not true. The Inca built numerous storehouses, or colques, on the hillsides around Ollantaytambo. These structures were used to store surplus food, such as maize, potatoes, and quinoa, which were crucial for sustaining the population during times of shortage. On the opposite side of the town, the Inca constructed several structures on Temple Hill, also known as Pinca Luna. These include additional storehouses and possibly ceremonial buildings. The location offered strategic views of the valley and the main ceremonial center, reinforcing the site's importance. In summary, the Inca contributions to Ollantaytambo proves that they had an incredible architectural prowess, advanced agricultural techniques, and sophisticated urban planning. Still, comparing the Inca work with the megalithic prehistoric work reveals a stark contrast in technological capabilities and construction techniques. To this day, it is unknown who these old builders were and what the purpose of their megalithic constructions was. It's unknown how old they are, but many believe they are at least 12,000 years old, if not older. This means that the site was most likely built by an advanced civilization that disappeared after the cataclysms caused by the Younger Dryas event. Whether the truth lies buried beneath the earth or hidden in the intricate stonework, Ollantaytambo remains one of the most remarkable ancient sites on our planet. Thank you for watching. If you want to dive deeper into the prehistoric advanced technological capabilities of our ancestors, you can watch our documentary on pre-Egyptian technology, where we explore numerous advanced megalithic sites built by an unknown civilization long before the dynastic Egyptians. The link is in the top pinned comment.